Hey there, and welcome to RecoverED, a podcast from the Magdalen House, a recovery community for alcoholism. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Dallas, Texas, and known affectionately by many as Maggie's. Every first and third Wednesday, we bring you a new release from one of our 3 podcast series. The RecoverED podcast is made to educate the community on alcoholism, the Magdalen House, our programs, and resources we offer for the community. In each episode, you will get to know the disease of alcoholism a little better, and soon, you'll know how you can shatter the stigma around alcoholism in your community. With your host, me, Kelsey Amos, a recovered alcoholic and outreach manager here at the Magdalen House. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for listening. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Magdalen House podcast. We are so glad you're here. And today, I think we've got a super awesome episode. I'm sitting here with 2 women that I absolutely love and admire, and I just could not speak more highly of them. They're absolutely fantastic. They are 2 incredible women that I get the honor and privilege of working with here at the Magdalen House. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and then we will get into today's topic.
Hey y'all, I'm Brehn Hanson, grateful recovered alcoholic, and I'm also the community program manager here at the Magdalen House.
And hello, I'm Kelly Williams, also grateful recovered alcoholic and volunteer program manager at the Magdalen House.
I'm so excited to have you guys here. Thank you.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of the theme or the topic that I wanted to bring for this podcast was staying close to Maggie's. If you've ever come through our programs, you've probably heard that phrase, stay close to Maggie's, right? We have a blog about it. We also, it's just something you hear a lot. And so I kind of wanted to do this podcast and explain, what do we mean by that? And then how can you put that into action? So for our listeners, if you're not familiar with our programs, we have our 2-week residential first step program. And when the women and men discharge, we encourage them to stay close. Part of that, obviously, is we want them to enroll in Next Step, which is our 3-month non-residential program to further that foundation in their recovery. But then we also have this incredible community program. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of wanted to talk about that, highlight that. What does that mean, right? So I think my first question is going to be, what is the community program and what does that look like?
Well, the community program is pretty much all-encompassing, honestly. We've got community, which is meetings, workshops, fellowship, some of our auxiliary groups like Maggie's Women's Group, where women can come and get involved and be of service and host fellowship, unity events, and donation drives, and just a way to give back. And then we have our family support program, which is all about getting education on alcoholism out to loved ones of an alcoholic. And then we have our volunteer program under that as well.
Yes, yeah. Our volunteer program falls under that. We are a program that provides people in our community with ways to give back to the Magdalen House or be of service. We have volunteer opportunities for people in recovery. We have volunteer opportunities for family members, people who aren't in recovery. We've even provided ways for different corporations to get involved. We have students who come in and do community service with us. So there's a bunch of different ways to get involved. Really cool way to stay close to Maggie's, both to stay close to Maggie's and also to help us, further our mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking is the community program here really, really relates to our mission and vision statement.
Which is what, in case our listeners don't know?
Oh, okay. The mission of the Magdalen House is to help individuals with alcoholism achieve sobriety and sustain recovery at no cost and based on 12-step spiritual principles, which our community program really goes into that because a way to, they achieve sobriety is through our first step program. And then a way to sustain sobriety is through our Next Step program and then through community and volunteers with, coming back and being of service and helping the women and the men that are currently in the house and chairing meetings and sharing their experience, strength, and hope and, Then it goes with our vision statement. The vision of the Magdalen House is to build a thriving community of people in recovery from alcoholism and their families, one person at a time, which really encompasses our family support program and just the unification of loved ones and individuals with alcoholism to come together and celebrate and have fun and just,
Yeah, and just be a part of, right?
Yeah.
Be a part of that community, which I think is just so important. Like, that was something that was really important for me in early sobriety and still is like having a community of people, having a tribe, right? And building that. And I think Maggie's is this beautiful place that women and now men can do that at. It's really cool to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I'm actually not a graduate of the
Me neither.
Maggie
Me
program.
either.
Yeah.
None of us are.
But I remember, when I first got out of treatment, my instructions were to go to Maggie's, to start volunteering. And one of the benefits of that wasn't just that I had a place to like spend my time and like do community service, which was required for my sober living. I actually got plugged into a community of people that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to meet. Right. And, we're all so different. We all come from so many different places, but we all have this one thing in common, which is our alcoholism. And the community at the Magdalen House is so incredibly unique because it's just filled with a bunch of people who want to give back to this organization that has given so much to them. And, me coming as somebody who, and all of us coming as, people who didn't go through the program, like for me, I gained so much. Like I'm still, really good friends with a lot of the women that I met way back, in my first even just month of sobriety. So it's really cool.
Now that you mention that, I was also given that same instruction when I got sober and was living in sober living. It was go to Maggie's, volunteer, get involved. And Maggie's was the first place that I had the opportunity to share my story. And it was the first place that I had gotten my very first sponsee, an opportunity to work, to practice my 12th step.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that until now.
Yeah. Yeah, and same for me. My sponsor instructed me, hey, go to Maggie's and, find a woman to sponsor. Because I was at the point where I needed to find women to sponsor, and she said, go to Maggie's. And then, I started coming to meetings and ended up chairing. That was like one of the second or third meetings I'd ever chaired, which was really cool because it was a safe place to be able to do that and not feel intimidated or like I was going to mess up or anything like that. And it was just all of these women and everybody was so supportive. So
I always
really
tell
cool.
people one of the best places to tell your story for the first time is at Maggie's.
Yes.
Because, especially if you're like just freshly sober or something, that is something that all these ladies and guys can look at and see like, oh, that can be me.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome.
Yeah. So I want to ask, and Kelly, you and I we talked about this earlier, and I think you gave this really beautiful answer of like, when we say stay close to Maggie's, what does that mean? Or I guess on the flip side, what do we not mean by that?
So actually, one of my coworkers phrased it really well. It is, we want you to stay close to Maggie's, but not to the detriment of your sobriety.
Right.
We are not an AA group. We're not a place that can be your home group. At the end of the day, we are a detox facility and a community for alcoholics. So, this cannot be anyone's entire recovery. There are so many more people who need help than just people at the Magdalen House. There's detoxes and hospitals and jails all over Dallas alone that need for us to go out and talk to them.
Yes.
Right? But like, I'm the volunteer program manager, and so obviously I love our volunteers. I love seeing people come back. They just get out of the house and they come back to volunteer. I think it's really amazing. I think it's amazing when people who haven't gone through our programs come in to volunteer too. But volunteering doesn't keep you sober if you're the type of alcoholic that I am, which is, a hopeless alcoholic. Being of service is amazing. It is a great way to spend your time. It's a really great way to get out of your head, but it is not the thing that is going to keep you sober if you're an alcoholic like I am, right? So if you've got the body and the mind of an alcoholic, simply, being of service, it's not going to keep you sober.
I think that's really cool, though, because looking at community, it's like obviously we have our community here on campus, right? But then I think what's so cool, it's how it integrates into our community, then going out and just the community of the world and being advocates for alcoholism, whether it's education or, working with someone and they need a little bit more help. And, I know of a place called the Magdalen House. And if you're here all the time,
right,
that message can't get out to people who may need to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But also, we love having you here.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a fine line. It's like really hard.
Yeah.
It
is. And I think, so to clarify, when we say stay close to Maggie's, that means that we want you involved in, next step, involved in volunteering, involved in chairing meetings and or family support, if that's your thing, attending meetings, sponsoring women in the house, right? But like you said, as long as it's not a detriment to your personal recovery, right? And so hopefully, ideally, if you're coming back and you're staying close to Maggie's, you're doing that out of a spirit of service and not survival, So, but I think that we have such a beautiful community here that we can also, help each other walk through that as well. Right.
Totally. And I think that, that's what I love to see is having women come through the house together or be in a next step group together or volunteer together or meet each other at an event that we host or a birthday night, and then seeing them hang out separately outside.
Yes.
Like I see pictures being posted on Facebook or that they post in our Maggie's Women's Group Facebook, and they're hanging out with their sisters that they've met here, but just out in the world. And that just makes my heart so happy because that's why this community exists, so we can find our tribe. Right? And now we're getting to see that happen with the men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It's really cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Are you or someone you love struggling with the inability to stop drinking? At the Magdalen House, we believe that education about alcoholism is crucial to helping more alcoholics and their families recover. Our staff are available for public events, private organizations, and specialized groups to speak on the disease of alcoholism, how to help someone who may be struggling, and more resources that the Magdalen House offers. To request a speaker, please visit our website, magdalenhouse.org/education.
So I think kind of the next thing I want to do, the next direction I want to go with this. So we'll start with Brehn for community. So what does the process look like if somebody wants to become involved in community?
Well, come to a meeting. We've got 4 a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So you can literally just come into a meeting. We always have women and men now coming in that need sponsors. So it's a great place to come and be able to practice your 12th step of carrying the message and giving back. So I would always say, first and foremost, come to a meeting. The men's and women's, they're both open to anybody, right? The women's house is open for any woman in recovery or curious about recovery to join. Our men's meetings are open to any men in recovery or that are curious to join.
So just show up.
Yeah,
just show
just
up
like literally show up to a meeting, and you will be wrapped in a ginormous hug, and people will be so happy that you're there. If you've been through the 12 steps and you are looking for a way to get involved and chair a meeting here, then just go to the website and the meetings page and fill out a meeting chair application, and we will set one up like ASAP. And then we also have outside AA groups come in and carry the message with their home group. And so when women and men get out of the house and they're looking for a meeting to go to, they'll already have a handful of ones that they know, so if you're a home group that wants to be able to carry the message here, then, just email me.
And so same thing for family support, right? Just show up to a family support meeting.
Just show up. Every Wednesday night, they're in person here at the Magdalen House. They are also happening simultaneously on Zoom. And then Thursday at noon, they happen on Zoom as well. Just show up. We have an amazing committee of family members and loved ones who are there to give you support, right? And to help you along this journey as well. Also, if you go to our families page on our website, it's got their contact information, and you can just give them a call at any time and talk to them one-on-one, even if that's what you need. And Maggie's Women's Group, again, just show up, join our Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group, and there you will get inspiration, support, posts for fellowship events that they're having outside the house, inside the house. They have movie nights, arboretum walks, all sorts of things. They are just a fun group.
We are not a glum lot.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, fantastic. And going back to the family support is that you don't have to have an alcoholic go through one of our programs to participate in that, right?
Absolutely not. It could be your uncle. It could be your spouse. It could be your child. It could be your best friend. It could be your employer. And they did not go through any of the Magdalen House programs, and you are still welcome. In fact, we encourage that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so Kelly, how would one go about getting involved in volunteering here at the Magdalen House?
Well, there's a few. The easiest way to get involved is if you as an individual are interested in getting involved, just visit our website, magdalenhouse.org/volunteers. On that page, you can see all of the different volunteer opportunities that we offer. There is also a link to submit a volunteer application. That volunteer application isn't something that we approve or deny. It's literally just so that we have your contact information so that we can reach out to you. So you'll submit that volunteer application, and then a staff member will reach out to you via email within the next 48 hours with the dates and times of our volunteer orientations. It is a requirement to attend an orientation before you start volunteering. Usually we have 4 of those a month, and you can attend them either in person or via Zoom. So we try and make it really accessible. We want people to come in and volunteer, so as accessible as possible. So then after you attend orientation, you can start scheduling shifts. We have an app that you can download and schedule your shifts on that.
Do you want to highlight some of your favorite volunteer opportunities?
Ooh, yes.
Because we have so many, so I don't know if you could go through all of them, but I know there's some that are just kind of really cool.
My favorite is always the community assistant volunteer opportunity. That is actually the first one that, the first time I came to the Magdalen House, just to back up, my first experience with the Magdalen House, I was really nervous. I didn't particularly want to be there because I didn't, it was something my sponsor told me to do, and I did it, but wasn't excited about it. Right. So I came to Maggie's, and the first person that I saw was actually a community assistant, and she's still my friend to this day. But she was sitting at the desk, and she greeted me, and she helped to show me around and show me the meeting room and stuff. This is back when we were over at Redwood, and she said, you can smoke out front or whatever. And so naturally, that is my favorite volunteer opportunity just because it was so important for me. Right. If there wasn't a community assistant that day, I probably would have walked out. I was petrified. So our community assistants are really great because not only do they help with all the happenings in our community room, but I think one of the most important things is they're there to greet the newcomer and help to make them feel comfortable and help to make them feel like this is a place that they want to come back to. So hands down, that's my favorite volunteer opportunity. But really, all of them are my favorites. We have our overnight volunteers donate 16 hours of their time to us per shift, which is really amazing, that we don't have to pay a staff member to do that.
Right.
That is a shining example of helping us to keep our budget sustainable. And there's so many. Obviously, since Brehn is sitting right next to me, I have to mention our meeting chairs.
Whoop, whoop. Yes.
And our Maggie's Women's group. There's just so many. Whether you have 16 hours, or just a half hour, there's literally always something that you can do to be of service at the Magdalen House, even from afar. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can't physically be here, you can still be of service to us by sharing our Facebook posts. Or
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Right.
Good point.
Yeah.
It's something that I think people forget about, that it can actually be of, because I can't tell you how many times I've read that somebody heard about us from Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like a friend shared a post or something, and they thought, oh, I think I have a drinking problem, and they do a phone screen, and then that sets them up on their recovery journey. So that is definitely a way that you can be of service. Or you can buy something off our Amazon wish list.
Yeah. Yes.
Since we have so many more mouths to feed and people, living with us.
32 to be
right,
exact.
I know. We definitely need all the help that we can get.
You can literally save a life with the push of a button.
I love that so much, Brehn.
Yeah, so along those same lines, I did want to share just a couple of statistics that 65% of unduplicated volunteers for 2023 were in recovery, and 63% of new volunteers are in recovery, which I think is amazing. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So just so that everybody knows what unduplicated means, because I didn't know what that was.
It took me forever.
Right. Unduplicated just means like one individual volunteer that volunteers throughout the entire month. So that 65% unduplicated volunteers in 2023 were alcoholics just really speaks to our program being peer implemented, which basically means, one alcoholic working with another alcoholic. There are roles at the Magdalen House that can only be filled by people who are in recovery. And so, I just think it's really cool that with our programs, you can really be at any stage of your recovery and still be of service. Mm-hmm. But the point is that there are so many alcoholics in recovery that want to give back to the Magdalen House to be able to give to one woman what they received. So not only do we heavily rely on alcoholics in recovery to fill those roles that can only be filled by people in recovery, there's also that 35% that are made up of, students who want to give back, to family members who want to get involved, our meal donors, family support. They are huge volunteers. So it's just really interesting that there's a big percentage of them too that aren't in recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, I just wanted to kind of pat our volunteers on the back. Last year in 2023, we had over 25,000 hours that were donated to the Magdalen House by our volunteers, and which is really amazing because they're not getting paid to be here.
Right.
It's really crazy. And so if we didn't have our volunteers, we needed a budget of 22% more than what we have to have met our 2023 annual expenses.
Wow.
Which is
That's
really
huge.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what I like to say too is, even if you have just a little bit of time, we're all like small parts of a really big thing. So every little bit of time and effort that you can provide is helpful.
Fantastic. Earlier, Brehn, you mentioned how we offer the meetings 365 days a year. Mm-hmm. So how many meetings and family support meetings is that?
Wow. Okay. So for recovery meetings at both the men and the women houses for a year, that is over 1,400 meetings.
Oh, wow.
1,400 meetings.
That's awesome.
Freaking amazing.
Yes.
I
Crazy.
mean, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, we're open.
Yeah.
Come on. And for our family support meetings that happen twice a week, both in person and on Zoom, there's over 150 family support meetings. And so you can always have a place to go to get support. And I just have to shout out our family support committee because there is 6 of them that do over 150 meetings for loved ones a year.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love it so much. I could talk all day just about how beautiful the community is, and all of that really boils down to the people that are active and involved in it. Mm-hmm. So, follow-up question for you. Yeah. Because you've been here doing the community program for 2 years?
Yep, 2 years.
Which has just been absolutely incredible to watch. So do you have like a favorite community story that you want to share? I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are. You know, there's not like one in particular, but there is like a trend that I see when women who have gone through our first step programs and then our next step programs, and they are chomping at the bits to chair meetings. And I want to get them in there as quick as possible. Like as soon as you finish the 12 steps, like come carry the message, do an orientation. Let's get you practicing that 12th step, right? Because that will help sustain long-term recovery, right? Giving away what was so freely given to us. And so I see these women and now men get on fire after what they learn here, and they want to give it back so bad. I just love seeing that. Like, I love seeing that. And, you know, there's been some women, and not that I'm leaving out men, it's just very new for us. I'm sure we'll see this trend with men too. But there's women that I have seen come through the programs a few times, and once they finally clicks, and I see them get involved in what we mean by staying close to Maggie's with volunteering and chairing meetings. We had 9 women celebrate a 1-year sobriety milestone in birthday night in January.
That is so cool.
I've gone over, like, that is the most that we had in 2 years for 1 year.
How exciting.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And 8 of them went through first step and next step.
Wow. That's
amazing.
So cool.
And so, like, I just think that really does speak volumes to continuing to come back. Right? Yeah. No matter what, continuing to come back. And it's like once they finally reach that point of, okay, I'm ready to give back now, their own recovery just soars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about the community. And also just kind of what I said earlier with seeing the women just out in the world, hanging out together, you know, going to see plays, going to have movie nights, going on trips together. Like, I just love it. I just love it.
It's fantastic.
I love what I do.
Yeah.
What a blessing.
It is. Kelly, do you have a favorite volunteer story?
All of them are my favorite volunteer stories. Again, like Brehn, not a story in particular, but every once in a while, like there's a community assistant, she'll be in the meeting and just will freely give out her experience in regards to what it is that I'm talking about, which I think is really cool because like she's not just there volunteering, she's also there to like her intentions for coming to volunteer is to share, you know, her experience and knowledge with first step clients, which like I think is really neat, right? Because she could just sit and you know and check off the boxes, but she really, you know, goes above and beyond, you know, to help the newcomer, to help the women, you know, in the house, you know, which is great because then women will come to her for guidance, you know? So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you guys so much for coming on today. And for our listeners, I really hope that you can hear the passion and positive energy that Kelly and Brehn bring to our programs and about our programs. And if you want any further information on the Magdalen House and what we do, you can always go to our website at magdalenhouse.org. And again, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Of course.
All right, everybody, we'll catch you on the next episode.
This has been RecoverED, hosted by Kelsey Amos, and brought to you by the Magdalen House. I am Laurie Evans, host of the Hope for the Family podcast series. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Tune in every first and third Wednesday for a new release from one of our 3 podcast series. To learn more about the Magdalen House and the services that we offer, visit magdalenhouse.org or follow us on your favorite social media channels by searching for the Magdalen House.